when you step back and you take a bigger view of what's happening, it for me it raises a big question: is why are coaches teaching um, techniques that are so old and very traditional when the game has clearly changed? The game has the game of tennis now in 2022, going to be 2023 soon, is dramatically different than it was in the 1960s or 1970s or 1980s. And unfortunately, as you will see as I go through this list, a lot of the techniques that I am seeing, and some tactics as well, are basically from that era. So they're techniques that are very old, that worked in those decades, but are not really appropriate or effective, or they're anachronistic. They don't make sense in today's tennis world, modern world. And but yet they're being taught all over the country. If we just take this country, the US, which I know the best, obviously. And I just am kind of tired of seeing the same problems with players who come to me over and over. So I'm going to put those out there to you guys. You may agree or disagree. That's fine. But I know I'm right about a lot of these things. And I know that it keeps me very busy making technical, reconstructing technique, making technical changes, basically saving kids from being relegated to the JV squad. I have a good business doing that, as well as taking kids to the very top of the country, and getting kids to becoming a 5-star recruit or blue chip. I love coaching those kids too, but usually those kids don't have a lot of the technical issues that I'm talking about here. I see lots of players who are lower level tournament players, or they want to become a really good varsity player on their high school team, or maybe just improve their ranking, get into the top 50 in the East, or get into the top 20 in the East, improve their sectional ranking or whatever it is. Maybe they're stuck somewhere. And a lot of these techniques and tactics are common ones that I see that are holding kids back. And I get particularly concerned when I see young kids. I love working with young kids, under 10, under 12. One of some of my favorite ages to work with. And it's just sad when you see like a kid being taught strokes from the 1970s, and you look at your watch and it's 2022, and you look at the television or you look at YouTube and you see the way that people are playing, and you look at the disconnect. There's such a large disconnect between what is being taught in the grassroots at clubs around the country by coaches who maybe have not studied the modern game, with what is happening. The disconnect between what you see that the pros are doing on the professional tours, and I think that disconnect shouldn't be so severe. And that basically, I agree with coaches who are teaching young kids more like the way pros play. Now, one caveat is you can't teach kids exactly the same as adult pros, because the difference in physical development is quite large. So there has to be some modifications and adjustments for young children, because their bodies are still growing. They haven't fully matured physically, and that's very important. So I think there has to be, that's an important asterisk when you're training young kids, especially technically, that you can't force them into all of the angles and positions that an adult can do, because it may lead to an injury. And the kids with their young bodies are still developing, so you have to be a little bit careful. But in general, I have to say that young kids can be taught the way you see most of the top pros playing nowadays, especially the next generation of top pros. Try to look at the younger pros coming up, the Casper Ruuds, the Carlos Alcarazes, Look at the next gen players and their techniques, and then that will give you a glimpse of what the future holds. And try to teach the kids more like that. Just basically, you try to look at the modern technique, next generation technique, the way the top pros are doing it, and you try to, with some small modifications, you try to teach that in a systematic way, in a responsible way, to young children.